Hi folks, I wanted to do a press conference on my executive orders. Over the last 10 days I have signed somewhere over 40 executive orders ranging from Trunalamanuma Prasur to Truandanashdasu Prasur. Executive order rejoining the Paris Agreement on climate change. Folks, they're not bad folks. After we rejoin the Paris Accord, we can all carry parasols and continue with the climate hoax. After all, this is another money laundering scheme that we convince you all that we need. Executive order to promote racial equity. As a politician and faker, and pedo, I can tell you firsthand that we know that there is no racial divide to speak of in the country, but the worst thing for us as politicians would be for the people to wake up, so we like to divide the country according to skin color. And we are quite successful. Proclamation ending ban on U.S. entry from majority Muslim countries. Like how I did that. It wasn't really a ban on the Muslim nations, we just say that to divide you all. It is really a ban on countries that house terrorists, but we aren't going to tell you that. President Trump has kept you all safe for 4 years, but that is not my intention at all, as you can tell. We are also going to reopen the visa so that we can allow terrorists back in. You know us, the Party of Unity, except of course for conservatives, people that want to use their First Amendment speech right, and anyone we don't agree with. Executive order requiring mask wearing on federal property. Rules for thee but not for me and the other elites. You all are peasants and you need to know your places. Put your mask on, sheep. Executive order coordinating a government-wide COVID-19 response. With the face that the U.S. surpassing 400,000 COVID-19 deaths, that we fixed the numbers in coordination with the CDC earlier this year, I created the position of COVID-19 Response Coordinator, who will advise the President and oversee the distribution of vaccines, tests, and other supplies. Because I gotta have a plan that is gonna look like it just disappeared. Remember when President Trump said that the China virus was just going to disappear? It is like he know or something. Executive order revising immigration enforcement policies. I am going to let everyone run free and wild. Executive order undoing regulatory restrictions on federal agencies. I am going to let the federal government run free and wild. Executive order incorporating undocumented immigrants into census. Fake news, fake number, who cares as long as we have our slush funds. Right, Hunter? Executive order refocusing on the climate crisis and canceling the Keystone XL permit. I am really excited. With the stroke of a pen I can kill hundreds of thousands of jobs. Aren't you glad you voted for me? Wait till you see my involvement in other stuff. Executive order banning discrimination on the basis of gender identity or sexual orientation. In a move lauded by LGBTQ advocates, I will extend federal non-discrimination protections to members of the LGBTQ community, building off the landmark Supreme Court decision in Bostock v. Clayton County, Georgia, last year, to expand protections against discrimination based on sex in federal agencies to include sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression as well. So let the transgenders run free and wild and into girls' bathrooms and locker rooms. If you have a daughter, be afraid to allow her to use the bathroom or locker room in public by herself. I am putting every little girl in danger. Executive order mandating ethics pledge for government appointees. I signed an order requiring all government appointees to sign an ethics pledge prohibiting the acceptance of gifts from registered lobbyists and lobbying for at least 2 years after exiting the government. But you know us swamp rats, we can find a way around this. Executive order pausing federal student loan payments. I requested that we extend the executive order by President Trump that has requested an extension of the freeze on federal student loan payments, writing that, too many Americans are struggling to pay for basic necessities and to provide for their families. Memorandum reinstating deferred enforced departure for Liberians. Again, I believe everyone should run free and wild. Memorandum strengthening deferred action for childhood arrivals. I put more bull in the reaffirmed DACA, an Obama-era program that President Trump had long sought to dismantle, rightly so, that shielded undocumented immigrants who arrived in the U.S. as children from deportation. Executive Order promoting COVID-19 safety in domestic and international travel. I just made a rule that you have to wear a mask everywhere, because we are your masters and you are the peasant and you will do it. Executive Order expanding access to COVID-19 treatments. I signed an order that has directed the Secretary of Health, also the picture of health, insane-looking man that is dressed like a girl, to support research on COVID-19 treatments and increase support for critical care and long-term care facilities like nursing homes. God help them, maybe he will have them all eat? Or something. Executive Order promoting data-driven response to COVID-19. I signed another order on the nation's COVID-19 response directed all department and agency heads to facilitate the gathering, sharing and publication of COVID-19 related data in order to continue perpetrating this lie and keep scaring the public. Dr. Fauci is really good at that, that is why he gets paid $417,000 a year. Folks, that's more than me. Executive Order strengthening public health supply chain. I signed this order invoking the Defense Production Act to ramp up supplies for the pandemic response and requested the heads of various departments to assess the nationwide availability of personal protective equipment and other resources needed to distribute COVID-19 tests and coronavirus vaccines, as well as butt tests, like they are doing in Beijing. You know I love Beijing. They are my homies. Executive Order establishing the COVID-19 Health Equity Task Force, so I want to help everyone by white people. I am going to pretend people that are white have white privilege and they just have crap appear out of nowhere and all the other people of race are just sad sacks that I have to spoon feed. It's fun pitting races against each other and my Democratic Party is really good at it. After all, my party created KKK and now we have Black Lives Matter, works like a charm. Executive Order supporting the reopening and continuing operation of schools, and since kids rarely get COVID, we gonna pretend that it is a risk and screw around with kids' education cause we can. Executive Order promoting workplace safety amid the pandemic. Because we think people are stupid and sheep, we are going to spend time and money on how you should wear a mask at work. Executive Order establishing a COVID-19 pandemic testing board. Just expanding government. Executive Order expanding food assistance programs, expanding government and giving more money to SNAP. Executive Order assisting veterans with debt. I threw a good one in. President Trump loves the troops and I could care less. As you could see on Inauguration Day, I couldn't even figure out how to salute them, but I signed this order in conjunction with the Department of Veterans Affairs with considering a freeze on federal debt and overpayment collection from about 2 million veterans. Executive Order guaranteeing unemployment insurance for workers who refuse work due to COVID-19. So if you don't want to work and use COVID as the reason, you won't be denied unemployment. Executive Order establishing benefit delivery teams. Just expanding government amid the pandemic. Executive Order facilitating delivery of stimulus payments. Just expanding government amid the pandemic. Executive Order to address COVID-19 economic relief. Just expanding government amid the pandemic. Executive Order empowering federal workers and contractors. In other words, undoing Trump-era regulations that rolled back protections for federal employees. I revoked a variety of measures, including a rule that made it easier to hire and fire civil servants in policymaking positions. The order also requested the Department of Labor to develop recommendations that all federal government employees receive a minimum wage of $15 an hour, because this will help eliminate jobs. Executive Order reversing transgender military ban. I am really trying to erase President Trump. I repealed the ban on transgender people serving openly in the military. Proclamation reinstating COVID-19 travel restrictions. Executive Order promoting Buy American agenda. In an effort to bolster American manufacturing, because I am an IDOT and can't put America first, I think I have to sign an executive order directing agencies to buy American. Executive Order calling for evaluation of Trump's housing policies. Just expanding government. Executive order to end reliance on private prisons, just expanding government, by instructing the Attorney General to renew Department of Justice contracts with private prisons. Executive order reaffirming commitment to tribal sovereignty. Emphasizing the administration's commitment to respecting the sovereignty of American Indian and Alaskan Native tribes, Biden's order reaffirmed the Clinton-era policy mandating all department and agency heads regularly consult with tribal officials on policy matters that may affect them. However, we really don't care because we canceled the pipeline and going to put many out of work. Suck it up, Buttercup. Executive order denouncing anti-Asian discrimination and xenophobia. I have told you all that Asian man is not bad, just orange man bad. Orange man bad are not crimes. Executive order initiating plan to combat climate change. I suspended new oil and natural gas leases on public lands and conserve at least 30% of federal lands and waters by 2030. Additionally, my order established the Office of Domestic Climate Policy and a National Climate Task Force, so basically I am going to decimate the country in the name of climate change. Executive order re-establishing Presidential Council on Science and Technology. Just expanding government, nothing to see here, deplorables. Executive order reinforcing Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act, you can keep your doctor. Just expanding government, nothing to see here, deplorables. I am giving you back the opportunity to resign up for shitty insurance, and if you don't sign up for shitty insurance, then you will have the privilege of paying for not having it. I am also going to expand the killing of babies not only in the USA but all over the world, because I can. Listen, I am a puppet of the CCP, can't you tell? My campaign was filled with dark money and we stole the election with Dominion voting machines and software. The courts are so corrupt that we did not have to worry that they would overturn anything. Now after that mess, I need to find Jill, have my lunch and take a nap. Where am I? Are you my mother?